Namaste. So tonight I'm going to read Book 9, Chapter 38, on the glories of the Devi and on the nature of Bhakti in the Maha Devi Bhagavatam. Om Vakratu Namakaya Koti Surya Samabhrani. Om Hari Om Tat Sat. Savitri said, O Lord, give me the devotion to the Devi, to that Adya Shakti Bhagavati Mahamaye Parameshwari Maye, that is the essence of all essences, the door of final liberation to the human beings and the cause of delivering them from hells. That is the root of all the dharmas that lead to mukti, that destroys all the inauspiciousness, that takes away the fear of all the karmas, and that takes away always all the sins committed before. O thou, the foremost amongst the knowers of the Vedas, how many kinds of muktis are there in this world? What is the true bhakti? What are its characteristics? What is to be done by which the enjoyment of the karmas done can be desisted and nullified? O Bhagavan, the womankind has been created by the Creator as devoid of any tattva jnana or true knowledge. Now tell me something about this true knowledge. All the charities, sacrifices, bathing in the sacred places of pilgrimages, observing vows and austerities, cannot be compared with 1/16 of imparting knowledge to those who are ignorant of true knowledge. Mother is 100 times superior to father. This is certain. But the spiritual teacher, the giver of true knowledge, is 100 times more to be reverenced and worshipped than the mother. O Lord. Dharmaraja said, O child, what boons you desired of me before, I granted them all to you. Now I grant this boon to you, that let the devotion towards the Shakti now arise in your mind. O auspicious one, you want to hear the reciting of the glories of Sri Devi. By this, both he who puts forward the question and he who hears the answer, all their families are delivered. When the Sesha Naga Ananta Deva with his 1,000 mouths is unable to recite the glories of the Devi, when Mahadeva cannot describe with his 5 mouths, when the Creator Brahma is incapable to recite her glories with his 4 mouths, when Vishnu the Omniscient falls back, when Kartikeya with his 6 mouths cannot sufficiently describe, when Ganesha, the Guru of the Gurus, of the great yogis, is incapable, when the Pandits, the knowers of the 4 Vedas, the essence of all the Sastras, cannot know even a bit of her, when Saraswati becomes inert in going to describe her glories, when Sanat Kumara Dharma, Sanatana, Sananda, Sanaka, Kapila, Surya, and other sons of the Creator have fallen back, when the other Siddhas, Yogendras, Munindras are quite incapable to glorify the deeds of Prakriti Devi, then how can I recite fully the glories of her, whose lotus feet Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, and others meditate? O lo, when it becomes difficult for her devotees even to think of her, then what wonder is there that she will be so very rare to others? Brahma, skilled in the knowledge of the Vedas, knows more of her than what other ordinary persons know so little of her auspicious glories. More than Brahma, Ganesha, the Guru of the Jnanins, knows again Shambhu, the Omniscient, knows the best of all. For in ancient times, The knowledge of the Prakriti Devi was given to him by Krishna, the highest spirit, in a solitary place in the Rasa Mandalam, in the region of Gokula, of the region of Goloka. Mahadeva again gave it to Dharma in the Shivaloka. Dharma again gave the Prakriti mantra to my father. My father became successful Siddha in the worship of Prakriti Devi. When he practiced austerities of old, the Devas wanted to offer to me the government of the Yamaloka. But as I was very much dispassionate towards the world, I became unwilling and became ready to perform austerities. Then my father told the glories of Prakriti Devi, and I will describe to you what I heard from my father and what is stated in the Vedas. Though very difficult to comprehend, listen carefully, O fair-faced one. As the eternal space does not know its own extent, so Prakriti Devi herself knows not her own glories. Then what can be said of any other person on this? She is the self of all, endowed with all powers and lordship, the cause of all causes, the Lord of all, the origin of all, and the preserver of all. She is eternal, always with her cosmic body, full of everlasting bliss without any special form, unrestrained, having no fear, without any disease and decay, unattached, the witness of all, the refuge of all, the higher than the highest. She is with Maya, and she is Mula Prakriti, the objects created by her being, known as the Prakriti creation, who remains as Prakriti and Purusa, inseparable from each other as Agni and her burning force, the Mahamaya of the nature of everlasting existence, intelligence and bliss. Though formless, she assumes forms for the gratification of the desires of her bhaktas. She creates first the beautiful form of Gopala Sundari, i.e., the form of Shri Krishna, very lovely and beautiful, captivating the mind. His body is blue like the fresh rain cloud. He is young and dressed like that of a cowherd. Millions of Kandarpas, the love deity, are, as it were, playing in his body. His eyes vie with the midday lotus of the autumn. The beauty of his face throws under shade the millions and millions of the full moon. His body is decorated with invaluable ornaments, decked with jewels. Sweet smile reigns ever in his lips. It is adorned, moreover, with his yellow-colored invaluable robe. He is Parama Brahma. His whole body is burning with the Brahmateja, the fire of Brahma. His body is fairy. He is lovely, sweet to look at, of a peaceful temper, the Lord of Radha, and he is infinite. Note, the universe as we see is unreal, like what we see in the kaleidoscope, various apparent pictures of an endless variety of beautiful colors and forms. He is sitting on a jewel throne in the Rasa Mandalam and is incessantly looked upon by the smiling lovely gopis at one and the same time. He is two-armed. A garland made of wild flowers is hanging from his neck. He is playing on his flute. His breast is resplendent with kaustubha gem that he always wears. His body is anointed with kumkuma, saffron, aguru, the fragrant and cooling paste of the aguru wood, musk and sandal paste. The garland of beautiful champaka and malati flowers is hanging from his neck. On his head, the beautiful crest is being seen, a little obliquely situated in the form of the beautiful moon. Thus the bhaktas, filled with bhaktis, meditate on him. O child, it is through his fear that the Creator is doing his work of creation of this universe and is recording the parabdha, fruits of their karmas. It is through his fear that Vishnu is awarding the fruits of tapas and preserving the universe. By his command, the Kalagni Rudra Deva is destroying all. By whose favor Shiva has become Mrityunjaya, the conqueror of death, and the foremost of the Jnanans, knowing whom Shiva has become himself, endowed with knowledge, and the Lord of the knowers of knowledge, full of the highest bliss, devotion, and dispassion, through whose fare the wind becomes the foremost of runners and carries things, the sun gives heat, Indra gives rain, Yama destroys, Agni burns, and water cools all the things, by whose command the regents of the 10 quarters of the sky are watching and preserving nice orders, through whose sphere the planets are describing their several orbits, through whose sphere trees flower and yield fruits, by whose command the Kala destroys all, by whose command all the beings, whether on land or in water, are quitting their lives in time. Until the proper time comes, no man does not die, even if he be pierced, whether in battle or in danger, by whose command the wind supports the water supports the tortoise supports the Ananta, and the Ananta supports the earth supports the ocean, mountain, and all the jewels. The earth is of the nature of forgiveness, i.e., endures all. For this reason, all things moving and unmoving rest on her, and again melt away in her. 71 divine yogas constitute one Indra's life period. 28 Indra's life periods constitute Brahma's one day and one night. Thus, 30 days constitute Brahma's 1 month. So 2 months constitute one Ritu, season. 6 Ritus make 1 year. Thus, 100 years constitute Brahma's life. When Brahma dies, Srihari's eye closes. That is the Prakritic Pralaya. At this time, everything moving and non-moving from the Devaloka to Bhurloka, earth, dies. The creator Brahma gets dissolved in the navel of Shri Krishna. The 4-armed Vishnu of Vaikuntha sleeps on Kisira Samudra, the ocean of milk, i.e. he dissolves on the left side of Shri Krishna, the highest spirit. All the other Shakti's forces dissolve in Mula Prakriti, the Maya of Vishnu. The Mula Prakriti Durga, the presiding deity of Buddhi, reason dissolves in the Buddhi of Krishna. Skanda, the part of Narayana, dissolves in his breast. Ganesha, the foremost of the Devas, born in part of Krishna, dissolves in the arm of Shri Krishna. And those who are born in parts of Padma dissolves in her body, and Padma dissolves in the body of Radha. All the cowherdesses and all the bodies of the Devas dissolve in Radha's body. But Radha, the presiding deity of the prana of Shri Krishna, dissolves in the prana of Shri Krishna. Savitri, the 4 Vedas, and all the Sastras dissolve in Saraswati. And Saraswati gets dissolved in the tongue of Shri Krishna, the highest self. The Gopas in the region of Goloka dissolves in the pores of his skin. The Pranavayu of all dissolves in his Pranavayu. The fire dissolves in the fire in his belly. Water dissolves in the tip of his tongue. And the Vaishnavas, devotees of Vishnu, drinking the nectar of bhakti, the essence of all essences, dissolve in his lotus feet. All smaller virats dissolve in the great virat, and the great virat dissolves in the body of Shri Krishna. O child, he is Krishna, on the pores of whose skin are situated endless universes, at the closing of whose eyes the Prakritic Pralaya comes, and on the opening of whose eyes the creation takes place. The closing and opening of the eyes takes the same time. Brahma's creation lasts 100 years, and the pralaya lasts 100 years. O one of good vows, there is no counting how many Brahmas or how many creations and dissolutions have taken place. As one cannot count the number of dust, so one cannot count the creations and dissolutions. This is the great unspeakable wonder, again, on whose closing of the eyes the pralaya takes place, and on whose opening of the eyes the creation takes place, out of the will of God, that Krishna dissolves at the time of pralaya in Prakriti, the highest Shakti, the Mula Prakriti, is the only one without a second. It is the only one Nirguna and the highest Purusa. It is considered as Sat, existing by the sayers of the Vedas. Such a thing as Mula Prakriti is the unchanged state, Mukti. During the Pralaya, this only one Mula Prakriti appears as Jnana Shakti, or the knowledge force. Who can in this universe recite her glories? Mukti is of 4 kinds. Salokya, 2. Sarupya, 3. Samipya, and 4. Nirvana. So it is stated in the Vedas, out of them, bhakti towards the Deva is the highest. So much so that the Deva Bhakti is superior to Mukti. Mukti gives Salokya, Sarupya, Samipya, and Nirvana. But the Bhaktas do not want anything. They want service of the Lord. They do not want anything else. The state of becoming Shiva, of becoming an Amara or an immortal, becoming a Brahma, the birth, death, disease, old age, fear, sorrow, or wealth, or assuming a divine form, or nirvana, or moksha, all are looked on alike by the bhaktas with disregard and contempt. Because mukti is without any service, while bhakti increases the service, thus I have told you the differences between bhakti and mukti. Now hear about the cutting off of the fruits of the past karmas. O chaste one, this service of the highest Lord severs the ties of karmas, past acts. Thus, service is really the true knowledge. So, O child, I have now told you the real truth, leading to auspicious results. Now you can go freely as you desire. Thus saying to Savitri, Yama, the son of Surya, gave life back to her husband and blessing her, became ready to go to his own abode. Seeing Dharmaraja ready to go away, Savitri became sorry to have the bereavement of a good company, bowed down at his feet and began to cry. Yama, the ocean of mercy, hearing the crying of Savitri, began to weep and told the following words. Dharma said, O child, you enjoy in this holy Bharata happiness for 1,00,000 years, and you will go in the end to the Devi Loka or Mani Dvipa. Now go back to your house and observe for 14 years the vow called Savitri Vrata for the mukti of woman. This Vrata is to be observed on the 14th day of the white fortnight in the month of Jaistya. Then observe the Mahalakshmi Vrata. Its proper time is the 8th day of the bright fortnight of the month of Bhadra. For 16 years consecutively, without any break, this vow is to be observed. The woman who practices with devotion this vow goes to the abode of Mula Prakriti. You would worship on every Tuesday and every month the Devi Mangala Chandika, the giver of all good. On the 8th day, in the bright fortnight, you should worship Devi Sasti, i.e. Devasena. You should worship Manasa Devi, the giver of all siddhis. On the Sankranti day, when the sun enters another sign, in every year, you should worship Radha, the central figure of rasa. More than the prana of Krishna on every full moon night in the month of Kartik, and you should observe fasting on the 8th day in the bright 4th night and worship the Vishnu Maya Bhagavati Devi, the destructrix of all difficulties and dangers. Note, the rasa is the playing out of the Vedantic saying of Brahma as Rasovaisa. He is of the nature of rasa, the most sweet and lovely divine principle which unites the Rasika and the Rasika, the chaste woman having husband and sons, who worships the world mother Mula Prakriti, whether in yantra or in mantra or in image, enjoys all pleasures in this world, and in the end goes to the Devi Loka or Manidvipa. O child, the worshipper, sadhaka, one who is in one's way to success, must worship all the manifestations of the Devi, day and night. At all times, one must worship the omnipresent Durga, the highest Isvari. There is no other way to attain blessedness than this. Thus saying, Dharmaraja went to his own abode. Savitri too, with her husband Satyavan, went to her home. Both Savitri and Satyavan, when they reached home, narrated all their stories to their friends and acquaintances. In time, by the blessing of Yama, Savitri's father got sons, and father-in-law recovered his eyesight and kingdom, and Savitri herself got sons. For 1,00,000 years, Savitri enjoyed pleasures in his holy land of Bharata and ultimately went with her husband to the Devi Loka. Savitri is the presiding deity of the Surya Mandalam, the solar orb. The sun is the central Parabrahma. The Gayatri Mantra, the presiding Devi, proves the existence of the highest Brahma in the center of the sun. Therefore, she is called Savitri. Or her name is Savitri because all the Vedas have come out of her. Thus, I have narrated the excellent anecdote of Savitri and the fruition of the karmas of the several jivas. Now, what more do you want to hear? Say. Here ends the 38th chapter in the 9th book on the glories of the Devi and on the nature of bhakti in the Mahapuranam Srimad Devi Bhagavatam of 18,000 verses by Maharishi Vedvyasa. Jayanti Mangala Kali Padra Kali Kali Durga Kshma Shiva. Om Mangale Mahakale Shivi Sarvata Santakishani Tapiki Koi. Om Tuya Mata Chabita Tuya Bandhu Shatra Sakatu.